Hello and welcome to All About Cars, and today we tell you which is a better buy, the Tata Nexon or the Kia Sonet, but that's later in the video. First, let's talk about the new launches this week, the new Defender and the new BMW 2 Series Gran Coupe. Let's start with the Defender first, an iconic name, a legendary name. It comes back, it's dressed in modern clothing, it's got new tech. There is no body on ladder frame anymore. It uses a monocoque and a lot more electronic help now to make it even more off-road capable than the older car. You have two versions that have been launched. You've got the 90 and the 110. 90 is a 3-door. You've got the same engine on both. You've got a petrol engine, 2-liter, 4-cylinder, makes nearly 300 horsepower, 400 Newton meters of torque. And what you get in the 3-door is a little more exclusivity, in the sense that not many people will go for it because it's not as practical as a 5-door. It also looks nicer, looks more earthy, more down to earth with its steel wheels and shorter wheelbase, shorter dimensions. I think it's something that you look at and you want one. It is about 74 lakhs ex-showroom, starts there, and then the 5-door version is almost 80 ex-showroom. You have other Land Rovers that you can buy for this price. You have the Range Rover Velar, which is the absolute dramatic opposite of the Defender. So Defender is more blocky, is more utilitarian in that sense, and Velar is more stylish. It's something that you would drive to a club. The Defender, maybe you'll just drive to your outdoor ranch or farmhouse or whatever. So it's going to be a difficult choice for people. I think fans of off-roading would probably want the Defender, but if somebody wants a Land Rover or a Range Rover, then of course the Velar would be the better choice. So would we say it's really well priced? Not really. Will it find takers? Initially, yes. What should you go for, the 3-door or the 5-door? If I could afford one, I'd go for the 3-door, but I'll have another car in the household. If that's the only car you want, then of course go for the 5-door. Now let's talk about the BMW 2 Series Gran Coupe. We've already driven it. The video review for that should go up sometime next week, so look out for that. Starts at 39 lakhs, a little above, goes up to 41. Two versions. You've got the M Sport, which is more expensive, and then you've got the regular one. We had expected the price to be somewhere around 30. It's 39, so it's a lot more expensive than we thought, and which means it's almost the same as the X1. Now, compared to the X1 2 Series Gran Coupe, you're looking at cars that sit on the same wheelbase, but the X1's more practical, and anyways people are choosing SUVs over sedans, no matter whether you've got a sedan with frameless doors. So I think BMW's made it very difficult for the 2 Series to have good demand. For the same, for a little more money, I can also go for the 3 Series, which is a much bigger car than the 2 Series Gran Coupe. And the Gran Coupe is only available with the diesel engine. If you're wanting a petrol, which is what we're seeing a shift towards people wanting petrols. That's not an option that you can go for. You only have the 220D. So we'll see how that does. But if you want a sporty looking sedan that is a little more expensive than it should be, but still not very, very expensive, maybe you could look at the 2 Series Gran Coupe. And now to take some questions, and like we said at the start of the video, we're gonna first talk about which one should you buy. Should you buy the Nexon or should you buy the Sonet? So we've got a message from Gaurav Sharma on Twitter, and he has asked us which of the two should he choose. He's looking at the Nexon XZ Petrol or the Sonet HTK Plus Petrol. And the thing is that both these SUVs cost a little under 10 lakh on road, so very similar. Now, the Nexon is a larger, roomier car than the Sonet. The Sonet's of course newer, more modern. In terms of styling, that's completely up to you, but road presence wise, I think the Nexon has better road presence just because of its sheer size. The Nexon is also better equipped, especially when it comes to the safety bit. So it's got ESP, hill hold, traction, which the Sonet doesn't get. The Sonet probably gets, I think it gets height adjustable seat, which the Nexon doesn't get for the driver, and it gets climate control, a digital climate control compared to Nexon's manual setup. If you also look at it mechanically, we already said that the Nexon's bigger, it's more spacious, it's more practical than the Sonet. It also is more comfortable. The ride is better on the Nexon compared to the Sonet. But the Sonet, in terms of driving, I think the Sonet feels lighter, more agile. And like we said, it's a modern car. What's also clear is, and we say this because we've had the Sonet on long term and we've been driving it hard and we've been driving it almost every day. It seems, and it's of course based on the venue, which also we spent a year driving. So we know that reliability wise there aren't really any issues. And we don't see that happening with the Sonet either, because venue Sonet, essentially the same thing. The Nexon though, we've not had it for really long, and there have been cases where things have not worked. I think in the span of the time that they've launched the car, they have made improvements, but that's just something that you'd want to be a little careful about. But as product goes, and let's just keep the reliability outside, then we'd say the Nexon is a better buy than the Sonet for this sort of money. Next on Twitter, we've got Debashish Das, and he wants to know when is the new i20 coming, the new generation i20. So Debashish, it should be launched sometime next month. That's the earliest, unless something happens and Hyundai plans decides to delay it. And it should be a really nice car to look forward to, be it driving dynamics, be it quality levels, be it features. Compared to the current car, we've seen how Hyundai has progressed with its models, and the i20 also could bring in some firsts, so that should be something to look forward to. Now let's take some questions on Instagram. We've got 2 questions, and we'll start with the Thar because that's still the flavor of the month, the year if you like. And Zishan, who had asked us a question about the Thar last time, is following up and has said that clearly the hardtop Thar is the one to go for. He's now not sure whether he should buy the diesel manual or should he go for the automatic. So if the same, I think we'd answered something similar last time for the petrol. If you're going to be driving in the city in stop and go traffic, in cities like Mumbai or Delhi, then I think the automatic makes more sense. But if you're going to be using it essentially to step out over bad roads, again, you don't have to be doing really hardcore off-roading, but in general, if you're going to be driving on the highway or you're going to step out, go outdoors, then I think, and not use it so much in the city, then the manual is nicer because you have better control, you have better connect, it's more enjoyable in that sense. So hope that answers your question. Next, we've got Sachin again on Instagram, and he says he's a primary school teacher. Would probably, he's looking for a new car that he'll drive at the most maybe 1500 kilometers a month, and he wants to know what he could go for under 10 lakh on road. So I think if you're looking for an SUV, like we just answered a little earlier, between the Nexon and the Sonet, you could go for the Nexon if you want a better product. You could go for the Sonet if you're thinking about reliability. You could also look at the venue, you could look at the Brezza. So there are lots of options. And if you're looking for something that's really practical given your driving and you want efficiency, then maybe the Brezza is also a good option to look at. So that's that. And if you're looking for like a hatchback, then you could wait for the new i20, or you could also go for the Toyota Glanza or the Maruti Suzuki Baleno. Light cars, efficient cars, and with the Maruti you also get good service network, affordable spare parts, so that should fit into your budget and your running costs as well. Now let's take some questions from Facebook, and we've got 3 to 4. We'll start with a question that we're also seeking answers to, as to when will Tata launch the Gravitas, which is the 7-seat version or the 3-row version of the Harrier. And honestly, the car should have been launched some time back, but it hasn't, and we don't have a very clear timeline. We could be surprised and it could be launched this month, next month, and you could probably just get a release saying that it's launched and these are the prices. So we're not very clear on that as to when that would come. This question, by the way, came from Sonam. So thank you, Sonam, for asking. Next, we've got Harshad Panchal, and he wants to know when would the Toyota Harrier be launched in India, and we don't think the Toyota Harrier is coming to India. Toyota is already borrowing SUVs from Maruti. They've got the urban cruiser, which is essentially the Brezza. They've got the full-sized SUV in the Fortuner. So we don't think the Harrier would be making its foray into India, because it'll be an expensive proposition when it comes, and it might not find a lot of takers. We've got Nitin Deshpande, and he wants to know whether he should go for the Sonet HTX, even though it doesn't get electronic stability control, vehicle stability, which is essentially the same thing, and brake assist. Does it mean that the proposition of the Sonet gets diluted with these missing features? So it's always good if you can afford to get these safety features. It's not something like vehicle stability control is not something that you would require or feel the need for on a daily basis. It's something that really helps when you're driving a little faster maybe than you should, or you suddenly encounter slippery surfaces which you didn't plan for. It's a feature that probably helps you more on a winding road, on the highway, things like that, but in the city not so much. So if you know that you don't have these features, you can also be more careful. You could take less liberties with the car when driving, and you can definitely go for the Sonet HTX even though it doesn't get these features, because as a product that package remains the same. So if you like the Sonet, if you like what it offers, barring these safety features, I think you should go for it. It doesn't take away from the value proposition so much. Like I said, having them is better, but if you were to pick, we'd say ABS is something that you might need more than vehicle stability control, especially for these sort of SUVs that you're going to use in the city. So yeah, that's it. Our last question on Facebook comes from Srijan Nayak, and he's looking for a car under 8 lakh rupees. He is looking at the Sonet or the Venue. But he would get a base version. I think the base version for the Venue starts at 7.7 on road or thereabouts. And he wants a car for the family, and he's wondering whether he should go for the Venue or should he look at a car that's placed lower in the hierarchy, but naturally you can buy a better spec version. So let's consider the Venue, and let's take its family member, which is the Gran i20 Nios. So price for price, you of course get the Nios, which is better spec. And for this you get the better spec Nios. You get rear AC vents, you get digital climate control, you get keyless entry, you have electrically adjustable ORVMs. And so in terms of feel and features, the feel good factor is higher on the Nios compared to the Venue, but the Venue is a larger car. It's a more practical car. It's a SUV compared to a hatchback. So if you're a family of 4 and like 2 adults and 2 kids, the Nios still works. You'll feel better about your purchase. But if you want a little more space and practicality, then the Venue is an option. And these features that are missing on the Venue compared to the Nios, they're not real deal breakers. They of course add value to the ownership experience, but it's not something that you can't live without. So my suggestion would be to drive the 2 and see which you want to go for. But it's clear that the features that you get on the Nios is not something that you can fit onto the Venue as an aftermarket option. So just give that a proper thought and then see which one you should go for. Now let's answer the questions that we got on All About Cars last week, and let's start with Jafar Sharif. He's asking us that there's a battle taking place between him and his brother They're deciding between the MG Hector Plus and the Jeep Compass, and he wants to know which would be a better option. The reason for purchase is very clear. They want something that has a premium feel on the inside and outside, and that has more affordable service cost. So I think the clear winner here, or clear answer here, would be the MG Hector. It has, or it feels more premium on the inside compared to the Jeep Compass. The Jeep Compass is definitely a better car to drive. And then when you look at the service, you've got nice packages that are being offered with the Hector, which just makes it more, it gives you a better peace of mind compared to when it comes to the Compass. So even though if you are looking at the diesel, you get the same engines, same drivetrains, but we'd say the Hector Plus is something that would suit your needs better given on your questions. Next, we've got Saurabh, and Saurabh wants to, he's interested in buying the Thar Petrol LX, the top spec in the manual trim. He says he's okay to live with Thar in the city and for daily commute. He just wants to know that how would the experience be living with the car, driving it daily. And I think we answered that during our review, the video review that we did for the Thar. And you can live with it, you can drive it to work every day. Sure, it might need a little more parking width, but otherwise I think it's easy to drive, easy to live with, and not that difficult to park, even though it doesn't have rear parking sensors. So yeah, if you like the Thar LX, absolutely go for it. Next, we've got Abhinav PA, and he wants to know that why is that people prefer SUVs over sedans under 50 lakh rupees, but they prefer sedans over SUVs above 50 lakh. So I wouldn't say that that's completely true. Maybe we've seen a pattern in the recent past, but SUVs is something that people prefer in general, and not just in India, and not just cost-wise, but across the world. And one of the main reasons for that is that people perceive SUVs to be better value propositions when it comes to, you can see out of them better because you sit high, you've got higher clearance, so they seem to work better off-road. And even in a crash situation, people seem to have or seem to infer that because it's an SUV, it would fare better than a sedan. A sedan would be more fragile than an SUV. Though crash ratings we've seen, it's got not so much to do with body type, but how you construct it. So, but coming back to your question, I don't think that's really true. We've seen even above the 50 lakh bracket, we've seen SUVs like the GLE, the X3 do well. If you were to move down under 50 lakh, we've seen cars like the Verna and the Cities do well. But of course, there is a shift, and we will see that shift above 50 lakh as well, where people continue to choose SUV for a while, and then maybe if somebody really innovates with the sedan, makes it really, really appealing, then maybe the sedans will come back as well. Next, we have Nishant, and he wants to buy the Duster 1.3 turbo petrol. He wants to buy it because of its performance and its lovely ride quality. His only concern, he says, is after sales. So he says, should he go for it, and is it going to be a problem? Now, if you're in tier 1 towns, I don't think service is going to be that big an issue with Renault, or an issue at all. I'm not sure what the spread is like in tier 3, tier 4 towns, but Renault has recently announced that they have expanded their service network. So I don't think service should be an issue, be it your accessibility to service, or the kind of service that you're going to get, be it in terms of cost or ability of the people to do a good job. We've had a few Renaults in our long-term fleet over the years, and we've never really had an issue with the quality of service. The problems that we had, they were resolved, and it's not like it went back to the factory. It went to a regular dealer here, and it was fixed, and it was done in fairly good time. So it wasn't like we were waiting on the parts for too long either. So if you like the Duster 1.3, and we do like the Duster here at CarWale, then yes, go for it. I don't think service would be that big an issue. Next, we've got Rajesh, and Rajesh says that his father wanted the new Marazzo, and they went and bought a BS4 version, which was manufactured in February 2020. But the car was already registered in the dealer's name, so now they're the second owner, and he wants to know whether they did the right thing or not, or should they have waited for the BS6 version. They got the BS4 version for discount of almost, I think, over 3 lakh rupees, 3.5 lakh rupees over the listed price at that time. So I think now that you've bought a car that has you listed as, or your father listed as the second owner, our recommendation would be to hold on to the car for a lot longer than you had initially planned. Because now with every owner change, you seem to lose some amount of resale value. It wasn't a bad deal at all, but the idea is that you shouldn't now look at selling the Marazzo in 3 years or 5 years. Hold on to it for a little longer, and then it would seem like a much nicer value proposition than if you were to sell it now. So not a bad deal, but just hold on to the car for a little longer now for it to make more sense. Varun Chaudhary asks us that he's come across some complaints regarding the Verna on the internet, saying that the braking is pretty poor on gravelly roads, and especially at high speeds. And is this really a problem, and is this a deal breaker? So we've got a Verna on the long term now. We've driven Vernas over the years, and it's not just a case with Vernas, but with most cars with ABS. It seems that the ABS is not working because it is actually working. Now when you're on a gravelly surface, it's a slippery road. The ABS, the essential function for ABS is not to reduce the stopping distance, but to give you control so you can steer the car. On gravelly roads, there is very little grip, so the moment the wheels lock, the ABS lets a little pressure off so that the wheel can continue to roll. If you're in a high grip condition, of course, the tires will not lock soon, so the stopping distances are shorter. On gravel, there's absolutely no grip. Every time you even slight modulation or slight pressure on the brakes, lock the wheels, and then of course it lets just lets go. So it's not that the ABS is not working or it's an issue. I think the ABS is working, but of course the stopping distances on gravel are going to be more, and that's true across the board. Unless you go in for an off-roader that actually comes with off-road ABS, and we've seen that with the Isuzu, wherein the ABS allows the wheels to lock a little, so then that helps shortening, it shortens the braking distance. But your concern, it's not an issue. It is there with every car with ABS on a slippery surface. Shankar Balan has commented on what we spoke about the Gloster in last week's video, where we said that it could be that even though it is priced similar to the Fortuner and the Endeavour, it's not great pricing. So he says that why is that not great pricing? Because it's priced similar, but it offers more features. So in that sense, it should it is a better value proposition, and we agree. But the thing is that the MG and Gloster are new nameplates, right? So if you want to attract customers, if you want to draw customers away from Fortuners and Endeavours, then you need to offer something more. And the way to do that is price, because nothing attracts us Indians or people or general car buyers more than a great price, right? And once you've got that initial set going, you've built a little customer base, you've got some Glosters on the road, then of course you can increase the price and charge what it really deserves to be priced at. But initially it's a good sales strategy to have something really attractive, and that's what we said, that it's not a great price, it's a good price. That was the rationale behind it. Right. And that's a wrap on All About Cars. Thank you so much for writing. Lots of questions. We are enjoying this show. We're enjoying answering all of this. And do continue to write in, and we'll see you next week. Thank you for watching.